welcome to Ramblin' Rose. Today we're going to talk about soil tests. So first of all, why should you have your soil tested? Well, soil at the ground level is where your plants get their nutrients, their water, and their air. Soil has physical properties like the mineral makeup and the texture of your soil, and that can affect your plant growth and health, and it can also be amended. So for example, if you have too sandy soil or too clayey soil or compacted soil, that can all be kind of ameliorated, bettered. And soil also has certain chemical properties, such as the essential nutrients. Sometimes we call that their food. It isn't really, but we call it that. And pH level. And those things all can also affect your plant's health. A soil test gives you a good picture of what your soil's nutrient status is, and it helps to determine which, if anything, you need to add to your soil to keep your plants healthy. A soil test is really important if you're planning to plant something that's going to be there years, perennials, shrubs, or trees. Beware of general advice. I know a lot of gardener type websites or whatever like to just say, oh, just add a 10-10-10, it's good for everything. In my mind, that's like going to a doctor who will only give out aspirin. Yeah, it's good for if pretty much something hurts, that's okay, but if you have kidney stones or a broken arm, an aspirin is just not going to cut it. So if you take the time to do a soil test and you know what your soil needs, then add only what it needs. And another thing on national garden shows or garden websites, you might see them recommending adding lime to your soil. Now in Minnesota, most of Minnesota, the eastern, probably 3/4 of Minnesota, sometimes does require lime addition to the soil. Here on the very western strip of Minnesota, we don't need any lime in our soil. Our soil is good. And one more thing, you can't really tell the health of a soil by its color. We like to say, oh, we want some good black dirt. It's true that organic matter does make the soil a little darker, but you can't really tell the health of a soil by looking at it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a soil test today, and you can go on the University of Minnesota website and you can get the form that you'll need and the bag that you'll need, or you can stop by the Becker County Extension Office. We have both of these things. You want to give your sample kind of a code, a 4-letter code. Because this is my vegetable garden, I very cleverly named it Veg G for veg garden. And that's particularly important if you're doing like your front yard, your backyard, your raspberry patch. They all need to be different soil tests because your plants will have different needs. Also, you want to tell them what kind of a sample this is. Again, because different plants have different needs. And then if you're going to do your grass, they ask if it's watered regularly and if you leave your clippings on, because that can affect what they recommend. A regular, just plain old test is $17. And on the back of this form, it does actually show you exactly how to do it, and it talks about what you will receive for that. So what I did is they recommend that you do this area is pretty much all my vegetable garden. So I dug a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit here, and I'll dig a little bit here, and then we'll mix it all together. Because this is a vegetable garden and not grass, you want to get down about 6 inches, 0 to 6 inches. And they do recommend, you can see I had some straw in here, they do recommend that you try to take out any of the organic stuff, roots or weeds or anything. And then you mix it all up so you get a good overall general picture of the health of your soil. We'll do that. Oh, found a weed. Whoo! Again, get rid of any organic matter because that will skew your results. And then what you want to do, they cleverly give you this bag and they tell you exactly where to fill it. So there's no problem there. And try to get... So you fill your bag up to that line. I didn't, but you get the idea. And then you close it up and you send that and your form and your check to the University of Minnesota. It's clearly marked on the bag and on the form. And then in a number of weeks, you get back a report. And we'll go through a little bit what that report means. This is an example of an actual soil test report from that same vegetable garden we are testing today. This is from 2018. So you can see that it doesn't report nitrogen because nitrogen moves through the soil very quickly and it's impossible to get a very good snapshot of the nitrogen. You can see phosphorus, potassium. It tells me my organic matter, which is in a good range, medium range, and it tells me my pH. It also tells you recommendations for what you should add. And earlier we talked about lime recommendations are not for this part of the country, part of the Minnesota. So lime, they don't say put anything on. And then they tell you what approximate numbers you should see on your fertilizer bag when you fertilize. And it can be your plants actually don't care if it's an organic fertilizer or if it's a synthetic fertilizer because they use the essential minerals. But organic fertilizers tend to also help the soil health and the soil texture. So that's why some people prefer organic, losing my stuff. That's why some people prefer organic fertilizers to synthetic fertilizers. Now you'll see that fertilizers are always in a three number series. The first one is nitrogen, the second is phosphorus, and the third one is potassium. And those nutrients all have kind of a different role they play in the health of the plant. There's a little bit of a saying, shoots, roots, and fruits. Nitrogen is primarily for the green growth, the shoots. Phosphorus is more for the roots, and potassium is more for any fruits. So what you want to do is you want to match this number as closely as possible. It does give you other directions on the back, and it helps you calculate how much of anything you will need. So when my recommendation is 20-0-30. This is a natural fertilizer. It's blood meal, and you can see the number there is 12-0-0, so it's pretty much all nitrogen. Any other fertilizers you see, this happens to be I'm not recommending any brand, but this happens to be just your off-the-shelf kind of fertilizer, and it's very small here, but you can see this is a 24-8-16. So I probably would not be putting this on my vegetable garden. I would look for something that's the nitrogen and the phosphorus for my garden. And keep in mind that phosphorus is regulated in Minnesota. You're not supposed to put phosphorus on your grass unless it's a brand new sod or seed because of the adverse effects of runoff into the water. Well, that's all we have time for. For more information, you can check the websites, the Minnesota Extension websites that you'll see at the end.